Hi, I'm Rachel Neville. I'm an artist, I'm a photographer, and a former dancer. At the end of 2024, something completely unexpected happened. Through meditation, I opened to channel. It's a bit of an origin story, that's for sure. But what's relevant now is that I am a vessel for Artemis, who is also one of my primary guides, and a whole host of other beings who step forward to bring us messages, who call themselves the collective. This is a real channeled session, shared with permission, meant to help you reconnect to your own inner guidance, your own sense of the greater consciousness around us. No scripts, no performance. I need to be clear about my role here. I'm the vessel. I'm sort of like a radio. The wisdom comes through me, but I'm not the source of it. My job is to create these sacred spaces for the messages to come through. Your job is to allow for the vibration to sit into your system, to sink into your tissues, and allow your cognitive mind to absorb the information. For transparency, any long pauses that naturally occur during a transmission may have been trimmed just for flow. Basic audio and lighting may be adjusted a little bit, but really nothing else has been changed. The messages and the energy remain completely authentic. If you feel called to be here, welcome. Your presence shapes some of the messages that come through. If you have a question, we edit so that it is no personal information ever is put out there, and it's directed at me and the collective rather than the participant. We have it pinned so you're not seen, just to make you feel comfortable if that's the case. So okay, I guess I'm being called. Do you guys want to do this, or do I want to do this? You want to do this, or do you want me to do this? Okay, I'm just going to let them come in for a quick second. They're wanting me to talk about, okay, I'm going to do it. They're wanting me to talk about the stacks that we're creating at the moment, because I think, Sarah, they want to talk about that specific question and emotional regulation and any questions that come up for you guys. We are at the moment creating, holy God, they're here. Sorry, it's just like a lot of energy and it's gotten really big in the last week. So it's taken me a minute to get used to it. We are creating a series of 6 stacks, and they're calling them stacks, sort of like a tech stack, but not, on particular topics. And the first one we recorded today, they called it containment, but it's basically teachings to help us live in, what shall we call it, turbulent times, in fluctuating times, in times where we're getting hit left, right, and center with lots of different stuff coming at us constantly. And it was a really interesting session. It broken down into 2 teachings, and then a meditation that I hadn't heard before, and then an exercise that I'm going to try because it sounds really cool. And so I guess I'm bringing this up by way of saying, if you have, they have set out these 6 ones that they want to do, but if there are particular topics that you're interested in hearing about or that would be relevant for you particularly, let us know, because they're interested in bringing content, that's a modern term for it, but anyway, teachings that are really helpful, and they're really bite-sized and easy to understand and like super relevant. Like this meditation was talking about, we often talk about finding your core center and your energy and reaching it outwards and that kind of thing. And this one was talking about the edges and staying within the edges. And it was, you'll have to listen to it. It was like really good, but, and very different from anything I'd heard before. So I'm always interested to hear their take on all of these topics. So let us know if there's one particular thing that would be most relevant to you at this time. As I said, they have a particular series that they're lining up, but I can't imagine that they're like super relevant for what's going on right now. So anyway, I thought that was really cool. So coming to a theater near, or a website rather, near you soon. So I'm just gonna uncross my legs here and get going. Don't hesitate to, Kathy, if you haven't had this experience before, the easiest way to do this is to literally interact with them as if they are a being right here next to you. They enjoy answering questions and a back and forth give and take for sure. So as you're comfortable, don't hesitate to just ask. So welcome. We are so excited to see you here this evening. And as is normal, if you will allow it, we will bring our container together to create our energetic circle with a quick meditation. Would you accept? Excellent. No need for verbal. We understood the intention. Find yourself in a full seated position with your legs or feet crossed in one manner or the other, as is most comfortable for you. We do this to contain the energy for meditations or practices where we would prefer to move energy through you. We often suggest allowing the feet to be placed on the support underneath you in an open manner, as in a parallel position like this. But for this evening, crossed would be best. And as you align your spine vertically with as much ease as you have in your physicality this evening, we would direct your attention to the shoulder area. This includes the scapula, it includes the collarbone, it includes the lats, it includes the serratus, it includes the area of the pectoralis, it includes all of the neck muscles joined together. To this area, notice we have not touched the breath. We are not starting with the breath this evening. We are starting with the physicality of the shoulder area. And we would like you to feel into this space for any specific area of tension as it is held. Do not try to shift or alter, only notice. And as you bring your attention to the area that holds tension, allow the aligning of your spine and vertebrae and neck to release upward and away from this tension. Draw into yourself space within these structures. For within these structures that feel as though they are conjoined, there is space. The space between the blood vessels, the space between the cells, the space between the atoms, the space between the electrons, the space between the quarks. There is more space than there is matter. And as you realize that there is more space than there is matter, we now utilize the breath to breathe into the space, particularly that area that holds tension, breathing in and breathing out into the space. Allow the space in your mind's eye to widen and release. Breathing into the space and allow the space to widen and release. Continuing this breath practice, visualizing that specific area to the best of your creative ability, focusing your intention, and your intention being specific thought as it can be, with visualization and texture and sense and feeling and taste and vibration and color, and find the space and widen the space with your intention. Breathing in and filling the space, breathing out and release. As we come together this evening, we come together for sharing, for growth, for community, and particularly within this group, for peace. Peace within ourselves, peace for our families, peace for our loved ones, and for that which is surrounding us at this time. As we bring you back into the rest of your physicality, know that this exercise is excellent for any area of the physicality that needs attention.
we would bring you this teaching this evening. You began discussing, quite rightly, the hot topic of regulation. It is a topic that we enjoy discussing, for there are such a variety at this time of different ways of thinking about this, different modalities for attempting control, different cultural thought processes and ways of dealing with it. Indeed, very different ways of handling emotions from the different types in your species. By this we mean male and female. Very different. And as we have discussed previously, information and being coming into your space through your feeling body, moving towards the energetic body, upward into emotions that then translate into thought, is the actual functioning of the human body. And we are taught from a young age that it is the reverse. Something happens, a thought occurs, an emotion arises, and it gets stored within the body. And this is indeed, in fact, actually the reverse. And so, as the information and the senses bring information into your energetic system, the vibration translates upwards into emotion and feeling simultaneously. And with the delay, the cognitive mind creates the thought that accompanies this. Within the space between the emotion and the thought, should you train to be able to feel and sense before the thought is triggered, there is a moment of control, but not of the emotion, for that arises as sensory material and information flow into the physicality. And so, as highly sensitive individuals that you all are, so often is the case that the information is pulled in. Yes, this is the part that you are not aware of. But nevertheless, this is what is happening. Think of it like you're walking in the wind and you feel, before you actualize it within your mind's eye, the wind as it moves along your skin. You are pulling in the information through your senses into your physical system, into your energetic system. And the vibration immediately translates into energetic vibration and emotion. And as such, loops that are caused by the emotion are not in reverse. It is not loops that then cause the emotion. It is the emotion that causes the loops. And this is why it is so difficult to move or reprogram, as you might like to say, the human mind. For we think of it so often as the case of the understanding arriving before the energy and the emotion, and that is not the case. And this is why, for those of you who have felt uncomfortable about the level or quality of your emotion, who have felt overwhelmed, who have felt such large emotions that to your culture cannot be controlled, it is not a challenge of regulation, for that indicates a control from the brain prior to the emotion, which, as you now understand, is not possible. And so, as you have large emotions, you are taught to suppress. You are taught to experience and push, experience and push. It is not okay to feel. It is not okay to feel. It makes many people, if your emotions are large, uncomfortable to be around. For they have also been taught not to feel. They have been taught to suppress vibration. They have been taught that the cognitive mind, that memory, that logic is what is of most value in your culture. And thus is one of our primary goals through this channel is to connect as many as possible back into the feeling body, back into the vibration, back into their sensory perceptions. And for when this arrives, we all begin to realize the state that actually lives inside you and us. And we all begin to truly sense, to truly feel, to truly live, to truly vibrate, to truly be alive. And should you choose to connect, not from the place of the cognitive mind, from the feeling body, from the energetic sensing, from each other, truly to each other, to the earth, to the moon, to the stars, and most importantly, at this time, to each other. And so we come back to this notion of emotional regulation. What is this emotional regulation that you so most seek? You seek to live in a state of calm. You state that you would like to be in a state of alignment. You think that your well-being, your wellspring of happiness comes from a place of what you call gratitude or higher self. How do we get there? How do we live in this? First, we must analyze. Next, we must revisit. Third, we must reframe. We must figure out what is happening. We must cognitively wrestle with these ideas. We must come up with ways which we can calm ourselves, which we can dive back into that which we would most like to be in our state. And so often, the awareness of this endeavor comes from these different modalities, from these different ways of thinking, from these different points of trying to understand how to move through your day in this state. And we push and we pull and we push and we pull and we reframe until we learn how to move emotion through our bodies and release it, but not experience it. And thus, it stays within us. It stays embedded. The energy and information as it comes in through our senses and through our feeling body, if not allowed to be felt fully and released, stays. And this causes, in some cases, physical harm, in some cases, physical shifts and changes, in some cases, cognitive loops that are very difficult to move through and away from unless they are observed and worked with. And in general, a lower harmony note or tone. And so, as we often like to say, what is there to do? The first step is understanding how the body reacts to the information as it is coming into you. Whether you are feeling it or sensing it, this is what is happening. You are energetic bodies. You think you are physical bodies, but you are more bound to your energy and your soul purposes than you imagine. And as you realize true nature of the sensing body, the feeling body, and begin to relate to it, not constantly, not even every day perhaps, but for a practice here and a practice here and a practice here, the more you develop it, the more you work with it within you, and you sense it constantly, and you have the ability to control and draw in energy as you wish. And this does take practice. This is a practice that has been long lost. And it is for this reason that we bring you so many of these meditative practices to allow for you to move back into your physicality, into the feeling body, into the sensing body, and turn it on. And from there, we start to understand the process as it is pulling through you, the feelings, the vibrations as they move through you. We start to understand the emotions as they rise, not while they are rising, not after they have risen, but while they are moving at the beginning states, not to suppress, but to identify and to feel. And this is a process that takes time. It is a process that is, we trust, worth doing. For in this way, energy, motion, and movement, and well-being, and abundance, and all that is available to you flows in a way that you may not have realized was possible. And so, again, we come back to the thought, emotional regulation. What is this? Most often in your society, it is the ability to push down your emotion to a moment or a place where it is socially acceptable to those around you, or such that you feel you can move on with the task at hand or your day. Those of you who are working through modalities to identify the feeling within your body and to work with it, this is excellent. This is the beginning place of recognition and understanding of the different ness is, if that is actually a word, within the structures within your physicality. However, we would have you begin to be aware of the sensations and the vibrations. And through that work, through understanding where this information comes into your system from, we then are able to utilize it in a way that allows flow to happen as you would like it. We understand that was maybe quite a bit to take in. Did that make sense? Excellent. We shall give her back to you now so that you might discuss. Okay.
I think this is so powerful to hear, especially as women, because we're always like being asked to sort of calm things down, and we do it so much that we end up like, you know, but all humans are, from the time that you're a child, you're told to keep quiet and to calm down. So these are things that society has instilled in generation after generation. And we pass it on, don't we? In a lot of the work that I've been doing, like emotion code work and things like that, it's that suppression of those emotions where you don't even know what it was that you were feeling.
Yeah.
You can't even name it, but it's the beginning of like an illness is what it ends up being. It manifests disease within the body because it has nowhere to go. It hasn't been processed. It hasn't been released. You haven't named it. You haven't like given yourself the chance to really grieve, to really be angry today. And I had to just say, I am really angry, like just to myself in the car. But I had to say that. And it was like, and it's so funny that you say this now because it's not something that I would ever do because I shy away from anger. I shy away from, from that violent emotion of anger. Um, but it's exactly what I was feeling. And I don't remember the last time I've allowed myself to name something
Yeah.
like that. And coupled with the work that you and I did earlier in the day, I was blocked totally this morning into this afternoon because of these unresolved feelings that I couldn't figure out. I couldn't get back to myself. I couldn't get back to that spiritual work that I had been delving so deeply into. And I was getting angry at myself for not being able to use that work to get through that moment. Because isn't that what it's for?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just find this whole thing, as always, there's no such thing as a coincidence. Um, and yeah,
And I want to add, I don't think we have enough words for emotions. I think maybe that's one of the things I keep talking about this on so many of my calls, that the words that we have around this are not palatable to me personally. Because the whole so I'm doing a tangent and then I'm going to come back. So pull me back, right? I give you that task of pulling me back. But like the words woo and spirituality and all these like other things, I don't feel other. I don't feel like there's anything different about me than anybody else. Oh, okay, except this. But yeah, but like there's nothing wrong with me.
Oh.
There's this I'm not any different than anybody else walking down the street. You know what I mean? And so the words around this that have in some places negative connotations or whatever, like there, so I shy away from using all of the typical terms: alignment, spirituality, this, that, the other thing, because it's like hokey pokey. Who cares? It's like it's not real, right? So I think part of like what's coming in the next 5 years through this system and through all of us, it's like creating words to make this normal. So I think word development is important. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I think it's around all these other things too. I read a thing somewhere about how Japanese, Chinese, one culture we have the word blue to cover all of these colors of blue. And in their culture, teal and blue are completely different, and they would never use the same word for them. And I feel, and that to me was like, okay, so there's probably 5 different versions of anger. There's probably 6 different versions of happy. There's probably like, I mean, I'm just spit like whatever, right? But like, I think that word nomenclature, if that is the proper phrase, is missing around so much of this. And that I think is also going to help us. Like if we can, all of us work together and identify these things and come up with these things, that helps the whole thing grow. And I think it also helps the whole thing become like normal. You know what I mean? Anyway, just my food for thought on that. Yeah, even today when I was on this one particular call, and I call these transmissions, and the general term that they use are, I don't know, readings or downloads and whatever. And I'm just like, this isn't like, no, it's actually a transmission. That's what's happening here. It's not like download. Do you know what I mean? Like the connotation of these words. And I think that's so hit it, like I'm drawing parallels here
to that, where I think we need more words for emotions.
Well, it's funny because I was reading recently that etymology isn't taught at all in school. Like we don't know the the origin of the words that we use. Our children don't know the origins of the words that they use, and so many words are just thrown out there, but they're not truly understood and they have a very different vibration. And that's, going back to like linking with what you were saying about like not having enough words.
Mm.
And I started with, I've been trying to choose my words very consciously because of the vibration that I'm creating, and what I kind of want. Um, so I just find it, like why, like just knowing like a different language, um, like sometimes I think like the English language, as beautiful and as expressive as it is, there's not, for me, there's not like a soul feeling to it,
Mm,
if that makes any sense.
mm,
Like, and you can say, like just even saying that you love somebody in English is I love you, right? And you can show it in different ways, obviously, and you can sort of say it in different ways, but like in Arabic, there's like so many ways to say I love you. And it's not just this like it really like it kind of like gives you tingles
mm.
because there's something so soulful to it. And I don't know, I guess I wish we were taught more about the origin of the words that we use, um, and what they truly mean,
Yeah.
as to what we've all collectively now assumed that they
Describe.
mean.
I mean, that's an inch. I'm going to take that a step further. It's an interesting point that you make, because one of the things that I should say, I am working on is being very intentional with what the energy that's passing through me and what I'm doing with it. And like they're giving me exercises to do that, basically. And the specificity with which that's requested for it, it's like significant, right? It's like, think of it this way. This is the exercises. Take a take a particular object and look at it so much so that when you can close your eyes, you can see all the details and all the bits, right? And then we move, and you don't need to know the rest of the exercise, but it's like being that detailed, right? Like if let's say it's an apple, like you see the little bump here in your mind's eye, you see the corner where it's like the bottom, I don't know, the little things that it sits on, I don't know what they're called. There's one that's smaller or higher than, or you know what I mean, right? It's like in such specificity, but we don't move through our lives with that level of specificity anymore. And without that level of specificity, we don't have the intention. It's that the specificity that grows the intention, which I find astounding.
But it's about being present, right?
Mhm.
So we're not allowed to just be present. Most of us multitask. I know I talk to my mom while I'm cooking dinner because I gotta fit everything in somehow. We have so much to do, we have so many places to be, and we have so many obligations that, you know, we could be right here on this call and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I still have to, this call is gonna end at 8 and I'm gonna have to put my
Yeah.
kids to bed. I'm already there.
Yeah.
I'm no longer here. And so that's why, like, that exercise I think is so important because you have to be totally present to notice the nuances, to see the details. Once I jump into the past or jump ahead to the future, that apple is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. The exercise that was given today in this first stack that they created, the actual exercise was really interesting. It was, and I'm going to butcher this, so forgive me on this, but it was go through your day. Seriously, I'm going to butcher this. If you guys want to jump in, you can jump in. Um, but it is basically to go through your day and notice where all the friction points are and write them down. Collect data is basically what it was. And like from the very beginning of your day, just notice where all the friction points are, where they're talking about containment, right? And they're talking about pressure. So anywhere where you feel pressure, so friction points and pressure, for me in my day, that's like before I have my matcha, everything is pressure. You know, it's like, oh, did I lose my keys again? That's pressure. Like all the dumb little things and all the big things, because we all think about this in terms of like political climate and all the things that are going on at the moment, right? That create that pressure, but they're talking about it in a 360 view, not just the current political climate. Although that right now adds to everybody's plate, I guess. So writing down and taking note of all the friction points, and then if you can do it for 2 or 3 days and then find the threads, like find the commonalities, right? And then at the same, they're not saying to do anything with them at that point. At least I don't remember them saying anything. I don't, that we'll have to listen to it, you guys. And then in the opposite end, the next day or 2 or 3, if you're able to notice, again, collect data on what they're calling sparks. They're not calling it happiness moments or joy moments. They're literally just calling them sparks. And my sense, and again, we have to listen to them because I might not be doing this right, but the sense was little things that literally sparked, like not like happy, like, oh, my dog is running up to me and I feel good kind of moments, although that might be a spark, right? Anything and everything that just sparks a little bit along the way. Oh, this was amazing, that was great, or oh, that was this, or oh, that was that, or big moments, little moments, like the opposite side of the coin of friction moments, right? And then it was how can you utilize sparks to shift the friction moments? Are there places, maybe there's some places you can't, and it just doesn't, there's nothing to help. Maybe you notice this particular thing might be an antidote to this particular thing, and so on and so forth. And it makes a lot more sense if you'd heard the second teaching of the 2 teachings. But anyway, it was really, it was super interesting to just like collect data that you can then utilize for, shifting. Basically, they're talking about it in a harmony tone. So super interesting. I can't remember why I started talking about that. I went down a tangent and it was in response to something you said, and now I can't remember. Oh my gosh.
I think she was saying that she's already somewhere else, thinking about the next thing she has to do at 8 o'clock, like all of us, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hard to be present.
It's so hard to be present. So I'm curious to see if that exercise is about helping to shift friction, or if it's bringing us into the present moment, or probably about, as with anything with them, all of their exercises are multi-loaded. That's what I've noticed in the groups, is like they give you one meditation to do and all this, and you think, okay, I've got it. And they're like, no, there were 6 parts to that. You just didn't realize it. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll keep doing it. Like, so, but Shannon, I'm so glad we had that conversation, because when we talked last, I kind of felt like that was the missing piece of the information. It felt like to me, and you can tell, maybe I'm wrong in that, but like it felt like that was really important for you tonight.
Well, again, I need to watch it again. It overwhelms me.
Yeah.
The first time around.
Yeah, always. So for a lot of us, for me too.
But I did come here with a certain amount of angst, and so amazing that this was the topic.
Yeah. Do you have, oh, you were going to say something, Sarah?
I'm being called very, very much to say that I have been really addressing lately in my life the profoundness of feeling anger. anger in like my childhood. Our intention group last night with Up Spiral actually did a little mini exercise, and the angry part of me was a 5-year-old that came up as a protector for me. And I'm in an energy session this afternoon, and my friend, the energy person, said, "You know it." And I'm putting this out there very vulnerably because I don't like to say things that don't make sense. Um, but I also am like more in this place of saying things because they don't make sense to be in a place where we are helping each other to make sense of it all, and yet to be sense from not from a logic place. I really love that whole thing, but from a place that we can be more grounded in what we're experiencing, in our feelings of frustration, of angst, of anger. So I'm just going to read this. It's a very, very short, but she says, you know what anger is? And I'm like, I gave her an answer. She says, it's the part of you that loves you. I was like, oh my gosh. Then that's incredible. It's the part of me that loves me. Like, I'm curious, like, and then the part I have underneath, and I'm going to share this because it's unfolding. It's when, so I said, I betray myself all the time then. So anger is the part of you that loves you that I think she was saying it's there, it comes up to say, hey, remember you, right? I think that's what she's saying. And I am very aware. So I also sat down last week with my family. I have 3 adult kids and a husband. And I wrote a letter in the early morning, and I just was very much guided to write this, and I didn't change a single word. And then I asked them all in. And the thing is that I can sit here. I must tell you all, when I read the letter to my family, which was about the times in which, when they were kids, my anger came up because I didn't understand what was my feeling and what was somebody else's feelings. It got very intertwined. And so that's kind of, to me, it points back to what you're saying, which is we're supposed to be feeling people. But that I grew up in a setting that didn't validate that, stuffed it. So here I am trying to be the very best parent in the world to my kids and learning all kinds of parenting techniques, but not going inward to really examine and understand where my own feelings were coming from. And so this letter, like I'm perfectly fine with my kids thinking, and they, by the way, oh my gosh, if I could like those monkeys, see monkey, do whatever, see, hear, whatever that is. I felt like I had my 3 monkeys in front of me because my one daughter had tears streaming down her face. And she said, these are not tears of sadness, these are tears of happiness. She was so happy for me that I could release this and that I could explain it to her. And then my middle son, who went away for 3 years and just came back to live here, and he and I are just so connected in ways of like teaching us, but we have to remain, it's beautiful because we have to just remember to remain within our feelings in order to be there for each other. So that's another thing. He literally looked at me, and he was sitting closest to me, and he was like affirming, like my words affirmed so much for him. So, we can think that to be ashamed of our actions or our feelings that became actions, when we acknowledge them, that is when we are the gift. We're the gift to ourselves. We're the gift to the people around. And I will tell you that, and I'm being personal here, but the sharing that I did was with my husband so I shared with my husband the night before the letter. And I made that intentional because he and I are here, and then there's our kids, even though that we're all adults now. And the reason that was important was I wanted to give him the breadth to understand my emotions that I was coming from. There was a time in our raising our kids in this home that I live in, we live in still, where my feelings were so intense, I roared, and all four of them, including my husband, were like cowered together in a corner of one of our rooms upstairs. That's what I spoke about. And it was really important that I separate my husband out and read it to him first. And he was so appreciative. And he was like, Sarah, this is really big work, which I had no idea that was going to be the gift that I received. So, and then I share it with my kids, and I'm not leaving one out. I have three kids. My third oldest son was like, wow, that's so powerful, Mom. And he used the words that were like, he said, it's the first time I got to see my dad cry. Oh, well, I'm so glad I got to give you that opportunity. Here I think I'm holding this burden, when in actuality, it was a blessing, or I turned it into a blessing because it's full circle. And the part I want to say is that when we communicate this way, what I did had no idea this was going to happen, because I'm going to tell you, there was a part of me that was like, my family is going to be so pissed at me for remembering and reminding them of this time. And I was like, Sarah, just trust this, right? What I came to realize is that my journey and sharing it opens up the potential for their journey. It's like rolling out the carpet, whatever color carpet you want it to be, to allow, not to insist, not to think, not to imagine. But what I've noticed in my kids since I've done that is they are now much more owning of their emotions. Instead of, especially my boys, instead of them thinking that I hold their emotions, I gave them back to them in that exercise. It's been very profound. So I hope that's not too much of a share. It has been really profound for me in this process. And because it just happened last week. And then I had that session today. I'm like, I think I need to share this.
That was amazing.
And it's just life, but it's intentional living. It really is. I will say that what I'm hearing so much is that, our feelings and our emotions are not to be ignored. They are our roadmap. They are our guide. And that is just, that is the pebble in the pond that allows others to do the same, to honor where we're at. I walked out of a movie last night that I've never done before, is very profound. My daughter's sitting next to me. We realized it was a very, very long movie. Are we going to stay? And she's like, we can't possibly leave, Mom. And I'm thinking, well, why couldn't we leave? It hasn't even started. And she's like, what will people think? That was me. That was how I lived my life. My daughter, who's 23. And I love that I had my husband on the right and I had my daughter on the left, and my husband who's logical and just ready to watch a movie and he's committed to it. And she's like, and I just said, we can just choose. So we can even start the movie. And if we don't like it, and sure enough, it became this like such a horrific movie for us to watch that we ended up sitting there laughing uncontrollably, like we were two little kids, giggle, but silently, because we didn't want to upset anybody. We don't want anybody's experience. And my husband is just watching the movie and we are giggling. And then all of a sudden I looked at her and I said, we can choose. And she says, I am ready to not be here anymore. And we very carefully walked out with our food and went to sit outside in the lobby and finished our food and continued to laugh and giggle loudly. I offered her the opportunity to own her feelings and to participate in an active involvement in what that meant for her. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Does all that make sense?
Yes.
That's a very big thing, I will tell you all, that's not a big thing for me anymore. I am clearly standing in my path of my space of we get to be authentic. We get to show up and be authentic and own our feelings every step of the way. And I loved that I had this balance. And by the way, my husband stayed in the movie the entire time and got a ride home from a neighbor. And I would have been happy to come back and get him, but we came with other people that were behind us. And then my daughter got to be part of what it meant to be, to like put herself first and listen to her feelings. Nobody else is here to tell us what our feelings are. We are our roadmap.
So I'm buzzing hard, so they want to jump in on that, I feel like. But I also just want to acknowledge that it's 8 o'clock. So if anybody has to like bounce, or if you can stay, I'm just going to drop in, go as you need to with my blessing and my love. And I know Sarah always posts these and then sends them around. So you always have copy of all of what happened here. But the emotions as a roadmap is when my system lit up. So I think there's something there. So I'm just going to.
Yes, we would like to address that. For at the moment, it feels as though it is your roadmap, for it is the next layer of the onion that you have unpeeled. And this is excellent. Well done. And the more you can live with these sensations and identify these vibrations and focus in on that which arrives within your system, you will begin to be able to notice and go further and go deeper. But we would say unto you, it is not your roadmap. Your emotions are this particular layer that you are living in at this time, and it is good and it is right, and we are joyful for you for these experiences. The noticing of the emotion, once we recover our sense of it, once we begin to understand that it is not to suppress them, but it is to acknowledge them and live them, we begin to move into the vibration of them, the next step. And with the vibration of them, as we did our first exercise, as you notice, to go deeper and deeper and deeper into the layers of space, you will find that underneath you have access to your connections, to your consciousness, to layers of consciousness that you do not currently have access to. And underneath the layers of emotion, where the vibration sits, where the harmony takes place, in that space is where your alignment actually lives. And so right now, this is where you are, and this is what you shall work on. If we were to give you advice, would be for you to continue the practice of noticing and allowing the feeling to live completely as it arrives, not after it arrives, not 3 days later, as it arrives. And should you not have the verbiage to use to describe, that is fine. Should you like to use your cognitive mind to analyze, you may write down the description of the feeling as it arrives in your system. But do not let that suppress. Allow it to be, allow it to live, allow it to be vibrant within your system. And then once that is a common practice within your everyday, we shall unwrap the next layer. With that, we wish you a beautiful evening. Please do not hesitate to send us questions. We will always answer. You are not alone. You are loved. And you are cared for. Well, shit, that was an ending. Okay. I find myself saying that so often because you just don't know what to say after that, right? It's like mic drop. Like,
Yeah, I really love that. You are not alone. You are loved and you are cared for. That's no matter what our feelings are. And
It's pretty
because
nice to
of
know.
how we, yeah.
sorry, go ahead,
Amazing.
Shannon.
I said that's pretty nice to know. It's nice to know that we're not abandoned, just flailing around with our thoughts.
It's my experience over and over and over again. If there's anything that comes out of this that is lucky, is for people to have access to their guides in a real, intangible way, to be able to hear them directly through whatever voice is coming through me. It's every time I have the experience of having somebody's particular guides show up and speak through me, it's like, to feel that you're not alone is like everything, isn't it? So for all this crazy in the last year and a half of my life, would I give it back to be normal again? What is normal? We could have that whole conversation and all that kind of stuff, right? But it's like, and anytime I'm having a bad time, right? Like I still have them, like I'll go for 3 days and I don't want to connect and I don't want, I'm like, doing all the things, right? I know they're there. I know they're waiting for me. It's like kind of like it's a little bit like getting angry at your mom and not wanting to talk to your mom, but you need to know that your mom is there, kind of thing. It's not quite that kind of a relationship, but I equate that to like that knowing that somebody is there, right? God, isn't that a comfort? And we all have them. All of us. Some of us have one, some of us have more than one, depending on what you're up to and what your purpose is. And all you have to do, you guys, all you have to do is ask them out loud. I need help with this. Literally, I can't tell you how often they have come through and just said, all you have to do is ask, but you have to ask because they can't do or help without your permission. Isn't that amazing?
Huh.
Yeah, we just have to ask.
Thank you so much. That was very profound. It was really timely. It sounds like for each of us. Not sure about Kathy, but for the rest of us, very timely.
Yeah, man, they're so cool. They just work that way. It's so cool.
It is.
It's so cool. It's such a blessing what I get to do.
Yeah, and thank you for that. It really, really, really helpful and profound, simply profound.
And Sarah, I got chills when you said anger is that piece of you that loves you. Right? My whole body just tingled. Thank you for sharing that because you never see it that way, that's the piece of you that thinks that you deserve more, not entitlement, but like, just that this is just not right.
Yeah.
But I think the larger conversation, you go deeper and you're like, well, is it just not right in my mind? And is it really not just right? I think that's where sometimes my mind goes. Is it like, am I being, am I being too sensitive? But whatever the case is, like the feeling is valid because that's the feeling that arises. So in some way, you need to address it. And it's not about so much the cause of it, but why it came up within you and how you're going to address it.
Yeah.
And we're taught, I'm jumping in here for a second. We're taught that what we're feeling is so often wrong. For whatever reason, like we're feeling this way because we made up a story about XYZ, right? Or we're feeling this way and we shouldn't. Or it's like for you could ad nauseum, you could go on forever with these phrases, right? And what I continue to hear and what I've continued, this is not the first time I've heard this conversation, but it was really a poignant version of it.
is that that's a completely wrong way of thinking about it, because that's not how emotions arise. So if that is not how emotions arise, then what is our job when they come in? To be continued, right? This is like an extensive conversation. This is like all what level 1 and 2 is.
And
But it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, so now what do we do with them? How do we handle them? What's going on? What's not going on with them? Because our old way of thinking about them is completely incorrect or partially incorrect.
I like what they said. It's not, your feelings are not your roadmap, because a roadmap, it shows you where to go. Your feelings, and then I don't know how exactly they said it, but well, it's the onion, the layers of the onion. So with a layer of the onion, you know what it is right here, right now. This is this layer. So identify that layer and go, oh yeah, that's the layer, but not, you don't know what the next layer is. And the roadmap, you do know. It's predetermined. And I appreciated that understanding, because then it's like the next moment. It's like the Buddha that says, or the, you know, the practicing yogi that is doing all these, you know, yogi moves, and then finally realizes they found inner peace. And it's like you honor it, and then you go, oh, okay, now keep going. It's like you found inner peace, keep going. Like, what's the next layer? So that's the next. It's not about, you don't stay in that same place. It's continually moving like that. The spiral is spiraling. The next layer of the onion is what is next for you in your feelings. And I think that's super important for each of us as humans, because it is that what will help us to be more authentic is our, if our, you know, this feeling is here right now, then oh, now it's this feeling, and now it's this feeling. And you know, we can obviously do our normal lives and have that, but that as well. But that was really, it was very powerful for me to understand that a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think there was something underneath that too, where they were talking the visual. Okay, so sometimes I'm not supposed to give you my visuals because they're mine and not theirs.
Oh,
So let me just check in with, I'm not getting anything. Okay, I'm just going to say this is my visual. It's not coming from them. But oh, okay, no, let me do this, you guys. We're gonna come in. Sorry, I could do whoosh again. But my visual was this. It wasn't really an onion, but it was like a planet with wrap around, because planets equal spaciousness to me. And they keep talking about spaces. I've been hearing a lot about in between the spaces as they prepped it. And for me, it was my shoulder tonight. Anyway, after we get into that, when you get, it's like basically peel a layer of the planet off, and then you drop down in, and then there's space. And then in the space is where they want us to get to, because what's in that space, is like our ability then to reach and connect. I think, I'm not entirely sure. I'm like, maybe this is me. And then it's within that next drop down layer where alignment comes back in. And that's really where alignment is. It's underneath all of this, where we're working it from all up here. And they're trying to get us over time to get down here and then this way. I think that's my visualization and my understanding of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Anyway, so we've been having a lot of conversations in other groups about alignment, and like I'm starting to get a sense of what it actually is versus what the buzzword is, right? The buzzword is like, I feel aligned. Basically, I'm happy is like another word for it. I feel like I could be completely oversimplifying it. So I'll say that. I have a tendency to do that occasionally. But I don't think alignment is what we think it is. So that's interesting. Anyway, to be continued. It's just cool stuff. Just cool stuff. Anyway, you guys, I would be on forever with you, particularly you guys. I have kids that want to make cake pops. They're waiting for me. So, but
thank you so much.
if we didn't address anything that you have questions about, like they said, just shoot me a text.
shoot me a text. But there was a lot here tonight to digest. So as soon as my team has it posted, and I personally prefer transcript. I don't remember if we do these ones as transcripts, but just because I don't like to listen to myself, I like to read it. Anyway, there's a lot here. So yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep learning.
Sounds great. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for
You-
showing up.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Rachel, for facilitating. It's a pleasure to meet everybody.
Have a beautiful evening and a beautiful rest of your week, you guys.
too.
Thanks, Rachel. Bye.
Thanks for watching. The real work begins, of course, when you turn off this video. It's one thing to sit in these vibrations and listen and feel good, and it's another thing to take it into your real life and really connecting to the greater consciousness and that well of well-being that exists for all of us. My hope is that these messages simply remind you of the connection that's available, the guides that are here to help, quite literally the love that surrounds us and is always within us. Trust what you know, take what serves you, and leave the rest. Come back as often as you need to listen to the messages, to sit in the vibration and allow it to sink into your tissues. Reach out with any questions that you have. It's been my experience that the guides will always answer. Not necessarily always in the way you're expecting or in what you're hoping, but always in the way that you need for that particular moment in time. If this felt meaningful, there are more of these transmissions on this channel. Please feel free to subscribe. We also offer one-on-one sessions and community support for those who are looking for a deeper connection. Thanks for being here with me in the collective today.